Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the Chargers hiring Kellen Moore. This is a huge deal because under his 4 seasons as the Cowboys offensive coordinator, they were second in total yards, second in points scored, third in total first downs, and tied for 6th in offensive touchdowns. But remember, in 2020, they were dealing with 4 quarterbacks. So they were still 17th in the league in points per game, but we want to focus on this season, 2022, when they were 4th. Last season, they were 1st. 2019, they were 6th. He's now going to be paired up with Justin Herbert, one of the league's most dynamic quarterbacks. Herbert is coming off of a year where he was dealing with that rib injury early on in the season. He didn't miss a single game. He played very well. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were also in and out of the lineup. Rashawn Slater was out for the season. Corey Linsley was dealing with injuries. And that's just what I can think of at the top of my head. So the Chargers defense the last 4 weeks of the season looked elite against the Jags. They had 5 takeaways and the offense let them down by only scoring 3 points in that second half. Now, give or take, they gave up, the defense, 4 touchdowns to Trevor Lawrence, but at the same time, still, I mean, the Chargers have to be able to execute. They were the 29th third quarter team. The Cowboys were 5th. Now, another thing is that in the second half, the Cowboys ranked number 1. The Chargers were 28th. So you can see the second half, the Chargers are not being able to put teams away. They had a lot of leads, especially, against the 49ers, right? That was the biggest game that comes to my mind. They were in Santa Clara. They had a first half lead, and then they didn't score in the second half. And again, injuries definitely are a problem for that, but still, the Chargers, they need to be able to continue to put their foot on the gas, something that the top teams don't exactly struggle with. I know the Bengals are out, but the Kansas City Chiefs, to an extent, do. They've had some leads and just can't hold it. But I blame a lot of that on Bieniemy. I mean, Andy Reid and Mahomes love to just run it up, but sometimes coaches don't want to do that. But if you have Justin Herbert, you've always got to play through him. Even with a lead, a 7-point lead, a 10-point lead, a 13-point lead, I mean, you want to put the ball in Justin Herbert's hands as much as possible. Now, obviously, they need to get a better run game going. They didn't have much of... I wouldn't be surprised if they were last or second to last in rushing. I mean, this is a Chargers team that just did not have a rushing game going. But when they did, they were really good. So that and the defense getting healthy, I mean, continue making sure that they can re-sign some key free agents like Tranquil, and who else is a free agent? Fox, right? Morgan Fox. Yeah, there's a couple of guys that they're going to have to bring back. But before I get in the rest of the video, if you guys are a fan of the Chargers, you've come in the right place. Like I said, I have a lot of channels. Going to be posting more here. I don't know what my last video was, maybe like 4 or 5 days ago, but I'm trying to be as close as I can to daily. There's a lot to talk about. Good start for the Chargers hiring the Cowboys offensive coordinator. Next up is going to be obviously getting an edge rusher, getting a speedy receiver with Jalen Gutton being out for the year. They missed out on that. In terms of cutting Keenan Allen, I don't think that should be even thought about. I mean, like I've mentioned in videos, but Keenan Allen, this offense is not even close to being as good without him in it. And also, I know Mike Williams is probably the most important player to this offense, but Keenan Allen is he just moves the chains, and him and Herbert have that good connection. So they just need to get another speed threat between him and Williams. They also need a tight end, being real with you. I mean, we don't really know Everett's future, and I want to say Parham might be a free agent. I can't remember at the top of my head, but they definitely need a tight end. Now, would I draft one in the first round? It's a thing. I mean, I guess I'll leave that in the hands of the general manager, but Tom Telesco, who has Chargers of 3 playoff appearances in the last 10 seasons at the top of my head, so he has to be on the hot seat. Tom Telesco should be on the hot seat, and I know he's like under contract, but still, he's a lot to blame for this season. He's a lot to blame. I mean, Lombardi, Staley deserves credit, or Staley. I actually like Staley. I do like Staley, and I'm glad he's back in the sense that he's been here for 3 years now, and it's just getting a coach long term is so hard in the NFL, but Staley is not an elite level coach. I'll put it at that. But I don't have anything too much against him. And obviously the Chargers are losing to the Denver Broncos, who were 5-12, wasn't exactly ideal, and they also gave up a season high to Denver, 471 yards. So prior to that, and in the wild card of the game, the Chargers defense showed up. So yeah, I mean, from week 14 through 18, they allowed an average of 15 points per game. Overall, the Chargers defense was 21st. They allowed an average of 22.59 points per game, and Asante Samuel, a guy that I was high on all season long, came away with 3 interceptions. He had a great game, but Trevor Lawrence would get the last laugh with those 4 touchdowns in the second half. Now, some notable Charger free agent. I know there's videos everywhere, but expect more of that. Whenever I make a video, it's going to be a lot of stuff put into one. Drew Tranquil, he had an unbelievable season. Derwin James was hurt. Joey Bosa was hurt. And Tranquil, he stepped in. He ended up having 146 tackles. He was second in tackles for a loss. He had 10 of those. He was actually good in pass coverage as well. 4 passes defended and an interception. Great blitzer. And linebacker, it's not a premium position in Brandon Staley's system. We saw Kaiser White end up signing with the Eagles. I still don't know to this day why the Chargers let him walk, but they did. But thankfully, Tranquil was able to step up. They got to make sure they can keep him around this time. Morgan Fox, who I briefly mentioned earlier, he had 6.5 sacks, which was a career high. He also had 21 run stops on the season. He's definitely a very good run defense specialist, and he should be brought back. He's just 28 years old, so prime of his career. Now, the Chargers, Gerald Everett, he was I would say he was consistent. I mean, he had a career high 55 receptions, 555 receiving yards. But, Donald Parham appeared in 6 games after dealing with a hamstring injury. And, Trey McKitty was drafted just, 2021 as an inline linebacker, but has definitely underwhelmed. There really just isn't much. And Everett, I definitely want him back, and he's going to be a part of this offense. But he's hitting free agency is the problem. And there's some really incredible tight ends in this class. I mean, there is a few tight ends that could fall in the first round, which we'll get into probably in a later video. But safety is another thing. Nazir Adderley struggled down the stretch. Yeah, I was going to say he got benched. Yeah, because they went to Gilman. Staley went to Gilman over him. And yeah, I don't really want to talk too down on the team because I don't like doing that. I mean, I know it has to be done sometimes, but offensive line depth is going to be a thing. I mean, we saw that this season when guys were out, the offensive line. I mean, honestly, the Chargers did draft a very talented offensive lineman in the mid rounds. I don't have my phone's off right now, but it was the guy who I should know. This is a guy that covers the Chargers, but he substituted in for Slater when he got injured. He was a rookie this year, and I'm gonna look that up because I need to know that if I'm running a Chargers channel. But Chargers depth chart. Let's go take a look. As soon as I look at their depth chart, I'll know who it is, obviously. But it was Salier. That's right. Yeah, it was Salier. Let me click on his name real quick. Yeah, he's just 22 years old, coming out of Georgia, 6'4", 325 guard. He's definitely going to remain a starter, though, a fully healthy line. So I'm imagining he's going to move over to left, or maybe not left guard, but yeah, he probably might move over to left guard. And then I'm looking at the depth chart because Zion, Lindsley are definitely staying, and then getting back your best offensive lineman in coming off of that, All Pro as a rookie. Rashawn Slater, and Corey Linsley is probably a top 2 center in the league. The Chiefs have a very good one over there, of course. But yeah, the Chargers offensive line, honestly, Zion definitely underwhelmed. He didn't have the type of season that we would have liked, but I'd imagine he's only going to improve. The Chargers offensive line definitely is not that bad. I mean, I know it's bad the past couple of seasons, but it definitely could be a lot worse. It could be like Denver's. And it's only going to continue to get better, but they still need to add depth to it in case somebody does go down because, I mean, you look at the center backup. I mean, Will Clapp, he'll be a free agent. Brendan James is the only backup guard. So, and then you don't like Storm Norton. We've seen him and how bad he's looked against the Raiders. Like, obviously, you could argue he cost the Chargers a playoff appearance last season. So that will need to be fixed, but this team is definitely trending in the right direction. I know it was a down season. I mean, blowing a huge lead to the Jags, but I think next season is going to be much better. The Chargers still made the playoffs with all these injuries, and now there's no more Lombardi. So you take away Lombardi last season, the Chargers, they might be playing right now. That's what it came down to. Was just Joe Lombardi was a horrible offensive coordinator, and we've been saying that all season long, but appreciate you guys for the love, man. It's your boy Thunder Alley. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video for the algorithm. Subscribe for news so you don't miss any of my future uploads, and I'm out. Peace.